Life is art and art is life. I never separate it. Now, it is not what you see, but what you make others see. I think of art as the highest level of creativity. Now, to me, it is one of the greatest treasures of enjoyment. I just love the art. Now, if this is your first time of watching the show, this is the Art Express. Join us for an exciting time out. I am Tolokwe Lamini, your host. Welcome back. Now today on Gallery, Liana Foundation and Gallery presents The Voyage, and so it begins. Now this marks the official opening of Liana Foundation, a new arts and culture institution dedicated to fostering contemporary African expression through bold, inclusive, and innovative programming. Let's go there.
These are my works from the Renaya & Co. collection. It's a collection of figurative paintings, sketch-like paintings that talk about solitude. And I intend to make it such that my viewer sees solitude, feels like they are related to that experience without the emotion of loneliness. I made these works at the time that my father was on his deathbed, right? So they reflected that contemplation of the change that is coming ahead of me. And I want people that see these works to not feel alone whenever they feel that wave of solitude. It doesn't have to mean loneliness. It doesn't have to mean ennui or boredom. Okay, so this is, I have here some pieces from Renaya. They are named in numbers: Renaya 9, Renaya 10, Renaya 5, Renaya 6. Then I have 5A and I have 3A, right? So I usually name my works with numbers because I don't want the titles to seem so personal. And I learned that from Van Gogh, the way Van Gogh titles his works. It doesn't make them personal. It doesn't interpret them for the viewer. It gives them the chance to get that interpretation themselves without having to rely on the title. And most of these works, they all represent the same thing, but in different poses to create more relatability with the viewer, with specific viewers in mind, depending on how they contemplate in their houses, right? And then there's poetry on it, because I love to write as well. I love to write. So there's poetry on it because writing is a way of defining yourself, defining your thoughts. It makes you know yourself more. It's a key to self-awareness. And I write most when I am in that mode of solitude. So I had to put that also on my papers so that people can relate better to it.
The title of today's show is The Voyage, and so it begins. And the show is about a coming together of artists who have worked with me over a decade of my time in the arts. And the show is really based on community, because I've been working in the art space for about a decade, and then I left the last space I was working with and I decided to start my own space. And I wanted to bring together all the relationships, all the community I built over the years. And so this show, I would call it literally like a show, a family show, because all of the artists, they're like my friends, my family. They came together to support me in the starting of my space. Visual art, digital art, sculpture. If you see in the show, there's like different mediums of artists, and all the artists have come from different backgrounds. You see that there are different styles in the show. All the artists have come from different backgrounds. All the artists are from Nigeria, except one, Ishak, who is from Ghana. But to sum up about the artists are a mix of upcoming artists and established artists who are working to kind of emphasize their practice and their journey. So the artists in this show, as I said, they're a mix of upcoming um, upcoming artists, entry-level artists, established artists who have worked with me over the years, over my time in the arts to build something. So this is a coming together of all of those artists.
The Voyage is a deeply personal milestone. It represents a full circle moment, a culmination of over a decade of artistic relationships, mentorships, and shared creative journeys that shaped the foundation. The show honors these connections while opening a forward-facing platform for innovation and inclusive dialogue in contemporary African art. The Voyage is a manifestation of shared creative paths and enduring relationships brought into the light for the world to witness. It is as much about past resilience as it is about future promise.
Yeah, today's exhibition at Liana Gallery is Voyage, So It Begins. Today I'm showing my work, Ascension, Quirks, Surgeon, and Rhythm of Life. My work can capture African story and express African story through the material, which is one of the key points that I use in expressing metaphor for my practice. I work mostly with clay because clay is an archival material. Especially with Ascension, I reflected on the Yoruba heritage of the crown as a body and a crown as a place of growth. And I placed those two together to speak onto how we take from the past to inform the present, especially with clay as a material that's been used from ages past to this moment. And beyond that, I also captured our experience living in Lagos in modern term, what it's like to be in the city and the feminine energy of birthing that can give, being that Lagos is a center of excellence. And I still further capture what it's like as a personal individual living in the scene to further reflect on what it means to become and how we can accept those moments of becoming, just as we're starting with the gallery. My main material is clay, but I also use fabric, I use metal, I use wood. Because metaphor is central to my practice, I incorporate everything that is able to capture the depth of the story that I'm truly telling. In fact, some of the works that are there to speak on the African story is that some of the places that I went to are African places to extract the essence of what makes us African. And in going to those places, I'm exposed to maybe new material, new people, and new ways to tell the story. Whatever it is that I find there, I take it with me to include in my work.
Also on gallery now, Silverscreenarts presents an art fair that explores and presents the ingenuity of African arts and craft, curated by Ifeanyi Oraemeka at the Radisson Blu, Lagos.
This is a Silverscreenarts fair, and today here we have the works of different Nigerian artists and craft makers. And everything we're doing here today is just to push forward the Nigerian story, tell our story from Nigerians' perspective. There's a lot of beautiful things going on in Nigeria that we need to push out there. We need to let people know that this is what is happening. Nigerians are very creative. We're blessed in our hands. We're blessed in the way we think. And today we're just showcasing some of those spaces like you will see around here. And every piece, like I said, is telling a Nigerian story of beauty, of resilience, and of abundance. What we're achieving is that we're telling the Nigerian story from different perspectives, from different people. I have my perspective I'm telling from the craft that I make. Sylvester has his aspect that he's talking about. Fumi has an aspect she's talking about, and some other artists who are exhibiting here today. We're all saying that there's creativity in the land. There's beautiful stories in Nigeria. It's not all sad stories. And if we don't tell our story, there's nobody who's going to tell it for us the way it should be told. So we're using these pieces here. The messages are conveying that Nigeria is beautiful, We are very good in many things that we do. We are a highly creative people, and this land is abundantly blessed. So that is what we're trying to show. The work displayed here you will find different medium. You find print on canvas, you find acrylic on canvas, you find mixed media. Sylvester himself is a prolific artist, and he has different expressions in his creativity. Fumi herself expresses it with acrylic. Myself, I express with things you can find in nature. There are stories that are beautiful. I just want to focus on the beauty that Nigeria is, and that is what we're saying today.
The pieces exhibited, like live, are both simple and complicated, capturing a variety of forms, shapes, sizes, materials, patterns, cultures, and connections. They convey messages and stories that are unique to Africa.
I have a lot of titles of my work. I'm also into mixed media. So from the arts canvas, I have the Ashoebi Ladies, I have the Butterfly Love, I have the Men Coming from the Farm, and then I also have beautiful hats, beach hats, that talks more about Africa generally. I also have images of Lagos, celebrating Lagos. Remember the last exhibition I had was the Echoes of Eko. So I have the Eyo Festival, the Eyo Masquerade, I have the Three Obas, I have the Danfo buses, all sorts. You will see them on all varieties of my medium, on my art medium, which is on the beach hats, the tote bags, which is made of jean material, and the paintings on them. I also have them on canvas. I have them on clothes, on our artwares, because I believe that it's a good idea to have our art work not just on canvas, but on artwares as well, that can move around everywhere you go. Art is life. Honestly, art is life. You see art and you can interpret it in so many ways. Art explains a lot of things. When you see art, at times you don't have to explain. Just seeing it describes exactly what is really going on, and you can see it, you can feel it. Art is life, it's colorful, it's beautiful, it brightens the atmosphere where you are, what you're doing. I mean, it talks about who you are, you know. When you see different artists and you see their work, you can tell the kind of person the artist is as well. My art display is a combination of so many mediums. Like now, for somebody that wants to dress up, I have the beach hat that is painted with African paintings, African pictures. I have the ashoke bags, tote bags. It's not just an English tote bags, but made of ashoke, that you can tell that, okay, this person is from this place. I have jean. So I have it, I've done it in such a way that it's contemporary, a mixture of both the old things that we use and the new things that we use. So we have jeans. Jeans, you will know that it's not an African material, but I've tried to balance it in such a way that it can go anywhere in the world where it can be appreciated. Imagine it being in the European country and they're seeing a jean material, but painted with African things on top of it. It gives that wow effect. It gives that beauty to people, like, wow, this is really nice, this is lovely, this is different. So I want my artwork to be unique, and I want my art piece as well to be in everybody's home. And that's why I make my artwork as affordable as possible, because a lot of people have the mindset of art being expensive, but I don't want them to have that perception. I want them to appreciate art. Because if the Western world appreciates art, why shouldn't we, that are Africans, and we have our own story to tell, why shouldn't we appreciate it? And so I don't like to scare people away with the price. I make it as affordable as possible. Even the face cap, I have face cap painted with different acrylic paintings, and it's just amazing the feedback I'm getting from people.
gallery, the National Museum Gallery recently showcased an exhibition titled Twining the Boundaries, a retrospective exhibition of paintings and drawings by Professor Victor Ekoma. Let's take a look.
The title of the exhibition is Twining the Boundaries. And twining the boundaries is the peculiarity of my style. I use twine to express myself. You see, the twine is an ordinary material you can find in everyday uses. But I have elevated it to the point that it can be appreciated as something that has beauty. I'm bringing out the aesthetic element of it. And this is a special peculiarity to me that other younger artists are beginning to copy. And I think that's a major impact and contribution to art, the technique, which I think is largely, represents my style. Not, I haven't seen anyone exploring this medium as a means of expression. So that's the uniqueness of my work. And of course, it's one of the critical factors for any artist to have a signature style for which you can be known for. People without seeing my signature can identify the work. Oh, this work is an Ekoma's work. That is the hallmark of creative achievement. I am into art fully as an art scholar and a creative artist. And the works you have seen on the exhibition represent my works over the years. It is a retrospective exhibition showing my paintings, my drawings, and sketches, as well as the works I did, etchings I did while on a residency at the University of London. In terms of themes, I think it's usually left to the public to judge. I merely express myself because you see so many subject matter running across my works. I'm very concerned about the human condition, the social circumstances we find ourselves, you know, the issues of good governance, the issues of public safety, the issues of climate change, and the issues of peaceful coexistence. I think that's essentially is what the thrust of my works are, the expression of the human condition, the circumstances we find ourselves.
Twining the boundaries reminds us of our relationships with a twine in a literal or intellectual sense. In art, twine is used in a variety of ways, especially in textiles and crafts, and for other everyday uses. It also has a historical relationship with man as used in various forms as tools. In these paintings, twine is used literally in aesthetic manner to create decorative patterns, as motifs and as lines to delineate shapes and create forms that become boundaries between positive and negative spaces in the sense of boundaries being twined.
Color and ropes, you know, to tie up the whole thing. But on the second side here, you have where he used pen and ink, you know. This pen and ink is reminiscence of the uli art, you know, where the uli uses, most of graduates from the uli school, they use, they bond their materials, and they also use, if you look at it critically, for example, this work that is here, you look at it as if it's so much bond. He used the pen and ink here and something that looks like ecoline, you know, to buttress it. And the marks are very expressive of the uli art. You know, this is what you see, reminiscence of uli, and you see it around all the works here on this section of the gallery. But on the other section of the gallery, uh, the messages there are very clear, where he interpreted most of the things that he did. For example, he talked about the refugees in one of the works I saw there, and he talked about human dancing in one of the works. These are messages that he conveyed in all his works that you see over there. But this one is just expression of the Uli art. And if you are very conversant with the Uli, this is how they do it. Some of the marks are very expressive, while some are very bogus. Everything will bring all the arts together. Look at the work that he has on Chinua Achebe. He has something that looks like an abstract over there, and he puts the picture of Chinua Achebe there. There are other works that is behind me here where you have hands, depicting some things. So these are reminiscences of Uli. There are other things like climate change, like I saw around. Those are the works, but the style is Uli. But the other one, he uses he used mixed media. And then in the mixed media, he used rope, essentially. They are good works, but if you ask for my preference, they are very good works that can go places. But my preference is with the Uli, where you have a rendition using pen and ink. And it seemed to me that he has mastered that art of the Uli art, which he represented on this side of the divide. That is just my opinion. But you see, art is such that it's beautiful, and the beauty in art is in the eyes of the beholder. You can't have a good art and a bad art. Art is art. It depends on how connoisseurs, collectors, and art appreciators alike view art.
Imagination is the beginning of creation. Now, you imagine what you desire, you will what you imagine, and at last, you create what you will. So keep creating, and I'll see you next time.